Okay. So understand carefully that I am having a p-type semiconductor. Okay, what is the energy band diagram of a p-type semiconductor? Energy band diagram. Energy band diagram, okay, normally consists of what? Your EC, your EV. What is the difference between EC and EV?
EG.
EG. So EG is going to vary, or it is a constant for a given material?
Constant, sir.
Constant. For a silicon, can you tell what is that number? EG.
1.1. 1.12
So at room temperature it is 1.12, and at 0 degrees Kelvin it is 1.21. Okay. Okay, fine. So this is intrinsic Fermi energy level. Okay, intrinsic Fermi energy level. So let us say that this is a p-type semiconductor. Let us denote it with p1. Okay, if it is a p-type, where does my Fermi energy level is going to locate? Is being located
above EV.
above EV. Definitely above EV. So I am locating somewhere here. Okay, so let this be my EF. Okay, and this is my EF. Right. So this is a p-type semiconductor. Let us denote that with p1. Okay, I am having one more p-type semiconductor. Okay, I am having one more p-type semiconductor. So let me denote it with the similar way how I have denoted my p1. Okay, this is EC, EFI, and let this be EV. Okay, and my Fermi energy level is shown somewhere here. Okay, my Fermi energy level EF. Okay, EF is shown somewhere here, or I'll draw it with a color chalk. Let me represent the Fermi energy level with a color chalk. Okay, right? I don't know whether color is visible or not. I am drawing with a green color chalk piece. Okay, so this is what is the case. Let us denote this with P2. Okay, so this is one type of p-type semiconductor, this is another type of p-type semiconductor, and what is the difference between these two p-type semiconductors? What is the difference? Fermi level is always close to the Fermi level is always close to the valence band in a p-type semiconductor. Yes, it is said it is close to your EV, it is close to your EV, but what is the difference between these two?
P1 is greater than P2. EF heavily
Direction of
doped.
suicide is different.
Doping of doping of
Once
doping of P2. Okay, doping of P2 is greater than doping of P1. Okay, doping of P2 is greater than doping of P1. How do I know doping of P2 is greater than doping of P1? I know this distance. Which distance? EFI minus EF. Okay, EFI minus EF. In which case the distance is larger. The distance between EFI and
P2.
EF is larger in the case of P2. So that is why I am saying that P2 is heavily doped compared to P1, or the doping of P2 is large compared to P1. Okay. Contact is not as though we are simply joining them, but please keep it in your mind that it is not as simple as bringing P1 and P2 like this. There is a certain process, okay, fabrication process with which people are going to do. Okay, so that we are not discussing here, but understand that with an available fabrication process, okay, if we are able to join P1 and P2, then what happens? Okay, what is expected actually? What is expected? Why do you think that Fermi levels of both the materials are going to get aligned when I consider a system of a P1 P2 junction? Why they are going to get aligned? Why they are going to get aligned? If I consider P1, okay, whether my holes are more in P1 or holes are more in P2, in which case my holes are more
P2.
P2. Why? Because my EF is very close to EV compared to my EF in the case of P1. Okay, so that means more holes are there in your P2. Okay, so less holes are there in your P1. So when I try to make a contact between this P1 and P2, what is expected is more holes are going to move from higher concentration to the lower concentration. We all know we all know that is a general phenomenon. Yes or no? So when more holes are from P2 are moving on to the P1. Okay, so what is going to happen? So that means this P1 is going to acquire more and more holes when compared to the holes that is having by this P1 material. That means what you say about this particular EF position, whether it moves towards center or moves away from the center, or whether it moves towards the EV, it moves towards the EV. The more holes it receives from the P2 because of the diffusion of charge carriers, this particular Fermi energy level is going to move towards the EV. Yes or no? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So it moves until towards this particular EV until it aligns with this particular Fermi energy level when P1 and P2 are brought in contact. Okay, right? So that means this is going to come down or this is going to go up. In either way, both are same. Okay, so I'll draw the energy band diagram. Okay, when P1 and P2 is made intact. Okay, in contact. Okay, so when a P1 P2 junction is formed, how does the energy band diagram is going to look like? Okay, so that is what I am going to draw now. Okay, okay. So I am extending this Fermi energy level. Okay, I am extending this Fermi energy level so that how I can draw something like this. Okay, so this is my EC. So this is my EC of my P2, EFI of my P2, Fermi energy level and EV. So what is your observation? So your observation is Fermi energy level has got aligned to show that my P1 P2 junction is in equilibrium. Okay, is in equilibrium. So whenever my slope of my Fermi energy level is 0, okay, whenever my slope of my Fermi energy level is 0, okay, then what do I say about my current flowing in the semiconductor? My current flowing in the semiconductor, I'll say it as 0. Okay, I'll say it as 0. And it is expected. Just I made a junction between P1 and P2 and I have not applied any external excitation, so current is going to be 0. Okay, right? Is this fine? How I am able to draw the energy band diagram? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
sir.
okay. So don't think that contact potential is going to exist only in between P and junction. Okay, only in a PN junction there is nothing like a contact potential is going to exist. It is going to exist even in the P1 P2 junction also. It is going to exist even in the N1 N2 junction also. Okay, right? And let me denote here the potentials in terms of, I'll represent here with Fermi potential Fp. Okay, Fermi potential Q times phi p. Okay, so this phi p is representing the Fermi potential in terms of potential. Okay, in terms of potential, I know how to represent energy in terms of potential. Okay, energy in terms of potential. Energy in terms of potential, how do I write it? Q times voltage, that is phi p. I am representing here the voltage as phi p. Okay, so Q times phi p is what is the distance between EFI and EF. Okay, Q times phi p is what is the distance between EFI and, I can even represent the same. Okay, I can even represent the same. Is this okay? Fine. Okay, so we'll move on to N-type semiconductors in a similar way. Okay, we'll move on to N-type semiconductors in a similar way. Then finally we will move on to a PN junction. Okay, then finally we will move on to a PN junction, right? So let me show you EC, EV, okay, and intrinsic Fermi energy level, EFI. And for an N-type semiconductor, where will be my EF? Where will be my EF? My EF will be somewhere here. Yeah, my EF will be somewhere here. Okay, this is EF. Okay, so similarly I want to show another n-type material. Okay, another n-type material, EFI, EV. Okay, so let us say that this is N1 and this is N2, and this time I want to make that my N1 is more in doping than the N2. Doping of N1 is greater than doping of N2. Okay, where I need to represent my Fermi energy level in second semiconductor. So N1 is more in doping, so it is somewhere here. This is EF and this is somewhere here. Okay, I have to look at the distance between EFI and EF, not the EC and EF. I have to look at the distance between EF and EFI, but not the EC and EF. Okay, see, if you look at your equation, okay, EC minus EF is given by KT ln NC by N. There my doping is in the denominator. Okay, but if I look at my EF minus EFI, then it is given by KT ln, okay, ND by NC. So then the more the doping, so the more the distance. So this is what I'll say, the doping of N1 is greater than the doping of N2. Is my point is clear? Yes or no? I made intentionally the difference between EF and EFI is more in N1 compared to N2. The reason is this distance is determining whether my doping is more or larger. The larger distance, larger doping, smaller distance, smaller doping. Distance between what and what I am considering for deciding whether doping is larger or smaller. Distance between EF and EFI, I should not consider the distance between EC and EF. Okay, I should not consider the distance between EC and EF. Okay, I have to consider the distance between EF and EFI. Which one is larger in magnitude, then that is going to have larger doping compared to the other one. So here I have written doping of N1 is greater than doping of N2. So this distance has to be larger compared to this distance. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what else I can tell about N1 and N2? N1 is an n-type semiconductor. Is it uniformly doped semiconductor or a non-uniformly doped semiconductor?
Uniform.
How do you say that it is a uniformly doped semiconductor?
Slope is zero.
If it is a non-uniformly doped semiconductor, then you expect some diffusion of charge carriers. Then there is an internal electric field at least is being generated. Then for representing internal electric field, your slope of EC has to be finite instead of 0. But here you have shown your slope of EC, EV and EFI as 0. So that means no internal electric field, no external electric field you have applied. So that means uniform doping. So N1 is an n-type semiconductor with uniform doping. You have understood what I mean by uniform doping. Along the entire length of your semiconductor, the dopants that you have added are in uniform nature. To at all the places, at all the distances, same number of dopants you have added. Okay. So uniform doping N1, uniform doping N2. Okay. But doping in N1 is greater than doping in N2. Okay. Is there any current in either individually N1 and N2?
No, sir.
No current, because slope of EF is 0. Okay, when slope of EF is 0, current is 0. Okay, so when I bring in contact this N1 and N2, what happens? When I bring in which case, in N1 more number of electrons or in N2 more number of electrons?
And
in which case more number of electrons?
N2
No.
and 1, sir.
See, the more the EF is more close to EC, more number of electrons. EF is less close to EC, less number of electrons. Yes or no? Or else you have done more doping. What is the purpose? Increasing your charge carriers. So in which case either N1 and N2, you will be having more number of charge carriers. In an n-type majority charge carriers are electrons only. So in N1 majority charge carrier, in more electrons are there, or in N2 more electrons are there.
N1 more electrons.
In N1 only. How I know in N1 more electrons are there? Because the distance is large. That means doping is more. Doping is more means this distance is less. The more closer my EF towards EC, the more the electrons are. Okay? Yes or no? If you are keep on increasing your doping, this EF moves closer to the EC. EF is moving closer to the EC, that means the number of charge carriers are increasing. Okay, the number of charge carriers are increasing. Okay, right? Yes or no?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, so when more electrons are in this N1 side, when I make a contact between N1 and N2, electrons will be moving from here to here. Yes or no? Electrons will be moving from here to here. So when electrons are moving from here to here, okay, what happens? Less electrons. Okay, electrons are moving away from N1. That means electrons are getting reduced. That means the CF is going to move downwards. Downwards or upwards? Towards EC or away from the EC?
Away from EC.
Away from EC, because electrons are moving on to the other side. Okay, when a junction is formed between N1 and N2, electrons are moving on to the other side. So that means my EF is moving downwards. How long it moves downwards? As long as this EF and this EF gets aligned. If once they have got aligned, what is the indication? My new system N1 N2 junction is in
Equilibrium.
equilibrium. Will there be any current? No current. Okay, will there be any current? No current. Is this okay? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So I will draw, okay, again I will draw the energy band diagram when N1 N2 junction is formed. Okay, when N1 N2 junction is formed, I am drawing the energy band diagram. Okay, is this okay? This is EC, this is EF, this is EFI, okay, and this is EV, right? Got my point? So now you tell me, when once the equilibrium has been arrived, initially there is no equilibrium. Before I join my N1 and N2, is there any equilibrium? Individually N1 is in equilibrium, N2 is in equilibrium. When once I join them, it is taking some time. How much time it is taking? The time taken for alignment of this EF in both the materials. When once both the material EFs have been aligned, this new system N1 N2 junction, what is this is? N1 N2 junction is in equilibrium now. Okay, why it is in equilibrium? The slope of EF, okay, the slope of EF is 0. What is that we have discussed in the significance of Fermi energy level? If my slope of the Fermi energy level is 0, then no particle is going to move in the material. Why no particle is moving in the material? In fact, what particles are there in the material? Electrons. Electrons contributed by your N1, electrons contributed by your N2. But whatever the electrons that are contributed by your N1 have moved on to the other side, and then this particular alignment of both the EFs have been taken place, and now your new system N1 N2 junction is in equilibrium. Now you tell me, why not my electrons from N1 are not going to move on to the N2 side? Why the electrons in the N1, they are not able to move on to the other side when once this equilibrium situation has arrived? Did you get my question?
As there is no concentration between.
One thing is, there is a contact potential that has got developed. Okay, that contact potential is, what is this? Q times V naught. Okay, see, from where to where I am asking you, your electrons has to move. I am asking you that why not your electrons in the N1 are not moving on to the N2 side? Why they are not able to move? Because there is a height. They are able to see some height to cross over. Okay, the electrons in this EC conduction band, they are able to find some height barrier. Okay, so that they are not able to cross that barrier to move on to this particular site. That is why no particles are moving. That is why my dEF by dx is 0. Whenever my dEF by dx is 0, no particles are going to move. Even earlier also, this inbuilt generated built-in potential, this is called as contact potential, because of the contact that I made between the N1 and N2, because of the contact I made between the P1 and P2. Okay, this particular potential is going to be developed, and that is stopping further diffusion of charge carriers from your this side electrons to on the other side of the electrons. Okay, electrons in this side are stopped by this potential barrier to move on to the other side. That is why there is no movement of electrons from this side to the other side. Okay, got my point? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so irrespective of which junction it is, normally a built-in potential is going to get generated. Okay, so again, if I want to represent this difference between EF and EFI, I can represent it as Q phi n. Okay, I can represent it as Q phi n. So what is this particular difference? Q phi n. Okay, phi n, let be phi n be a Fermi potential in the n-type semiconductor. Okay, phi n is the Fermi potential in the n-type semiconductor. Is this fine? Okay. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So what is happening? Because of the built-in potential barrier, okay, there is some voltage that is being developed here, which is stopping your further charge carriers from N1 to move on to the N2. Okay, but initially they tried to move from one side to the another side based on the concentration gradient. How long they are going to move? As long as the EF is going to get aligned, as long as the equilibrium state has got arrived. When once the equilibrium state has got arrived, there is no movement of the charge particles, and that may be one of the reason why your current is being zero. Okay, right? Shall we move on to our PN junction, which is our actual topic of interest? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now we are going to move on to our actual PN junction, how it is going to look like, what is the contact potential, and what is the expression for the contact potential. Okay, right. Okay, I am showing P type here. Okay, I am showing P type here, EC, EV, intrinsic semiconductor, EFI. Okay, where is my Fermi level in the case of P type semiconductor? This is my P type semiconductor. Where will be my
Above EV.
above EV? Yeah, let us say that above EV my Fermi energy level is there. Okay, this is my Fermi energy level, EF. Okay, EF. On the other side, I am choosing my N type. Okay, on the other side, I am choosing N type. This is my intrinsic Fermi energy level. This is my EV. Where will be my Fermi
Near
energy
EC.
level? In an N type. This is an N type, so near EC. Okay, so this is my Fermi energy level. So individually, you know everything about your P type semiconductor, your N type semiconductor. Okay, so when I bring in this P and N junction, okay, when I bring in this P and N, let us say that I will be able to form a PN junction. Okay, so when I bring this P and N, okay, when I form this PN junction, what is going to happen? What is going to happen? Just like our P1, P2 junction case and N1, N2 junction case, what is expected to happen when I make this PN junction?
Yes, sir.
Equilibrium.
One thing is the system is going to come into the equilibrium, and how it is going to come into the equilibrium? Before arriving at the equilibrium, what is going to take place?
Alignment of EF.
Is holes are more in P type or electrons are more in P type?
Holes.
Holes are more in P type. Okay. Electrons are more in N type or holes are more in N type?
Electrons.
Electrons. So naturally, what is expected when I form a junction between P and N?
Electrons come to holes.
Concentration gradient exists with respect to holes as well as electrons. Yes or no? Here more electrons are there, less electrons are there. Here more holes are there, less holes are there. So concentration gradient existing with respect to both holes and electrons. So holes will be moving from here to here. Electrons will be moving from here to here. When holes are moving away from P side, what do you say about this Fermi energy level? Will it going to be moving towards the EV or away from the EV?
Away from EV.
Away from EV. That means as holes are moving away from this P side, this EF is going to move away from the EV. Okay. As my electrons in the N side are going to move away from the N side onto the P side, what do you say about your EF? Is it going to move towards the EC or move towards away from the EC?
Away from
Away
EC.
from the EC. That means because of the electrons in the N side moving on to the P side, because of the holes present in the P side moving on to the N side, this EF is moving away, this EF is moving downwards. So what is going to happen? How long these holes from P side to N side and electrons from N side to P side are going to exchange across the junction? Until and otherwise the CF is going to get inaligned with the CF. Got my point? Yes or no?
Sir.
So diffusion of charge carriers, holes in the P side to the N side, electrons in the n side onto the p side is going to take place. How long? As long as this EF and this EF both are going to be aligned. Okay, right? Is this fine?
Yes, sir.
So I am drawing the energy band diagram. This is my EC. Okay, so my EC is going to be like this. It is a drawing mistake only. Okay, you are right. What you said is right. In an N type, always my EF has to be closer to EC only. So no doubt about that. Okay. First, I will draw my Fermi energy level first, so that there will not be any confusion. Okay. So I have drawn my Fermi energy level. Okay. In an N type, my Fermi energy level is close to my EC. Okay. In a P type, my Fermi energy level is, okay, my Fermi energy level is close to my EV. Yes or no? So if this is my EF, then my EV has to be close to this because it is a P type. Okay. So this is my EV, right? So in between these two, okay, there is my intrinsic Fermi energy level. My intrinsic Fermi energy level has to be shown like this. Okay, this is my intrinsic Fermi energy level, and this is my Fermi energy. This is my P type, this is my N type. Is this okay? So thank you that
Yes,
you
sir.
have corrected, right? So this is P type semiconductor and this is N type semiconductor. So before joining, this is what is my situation. After joining, this is what is the junction. So this is what is a PN junction. Okay, consider a P type semiconductor and an N type semiconductor, and this is what I am calling it as a junction. Okay, so this is what is the junction. This is what is the junction, right? Okay. So I am representing this particular distance, okay, in between EFI and EFI. Okay, this is what is my EFI. So EFI minus EF is Q times phi p. Is it visible? Yes. So this EF minus EFI, okay, is Q times phi n, because this is n side. Okay, this is p side. I am denoting with phi p as the Fermi potential in the p side. I am denoting with phi n Fermi potential in the n side. Okay, right? So what is the conclusion? What is the observation? What is the interpretation? Interpretation is individually P type and N type semiconductors were taken. When a junction is formed, okay, when a junction is formed, a built-in potential is going to exist. Where is my built-in potential? My built-in potential is this. Okay, Q times V naught is what is my built-in potential. Okay, which height I am calling it as built-in potential? Which height I am calling it as built-in potential? Difference between this
We
difference between this EC, okay, or difference between this EFI, or difference between this EV. Okay, even if I extend onto this side, okay, this particular distance is also the same built-in potential. Whatever the distance I find between this EV or EC or EFI, all are same, all are representing your built-in potential. Okay, but in between EF and EFI, I am representing as a Fermi potential in P side as phi p. I am representing a Fermi potential in N side as phi n. Okay, is this fine? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
You need to practice. Okay, otherwise you cannot draw the diagram with much comfortable. Okay, so it is very easy. Okay, what is that you have to do is you do it like this. First, draw the Fermi energy level while drawing the energy band diagram of a PN junction. Okay, while drawing the energy band diagram of a PN junction, how you try to draw is, for getting no mistakes, first draw the Fermi energy level, a big straight line. Okay, then you mark your EC such that you are trying to draw your N type, because EF is close to your EC, you mark your EF. Okay, then you mark your EV in the P side close to your EF. So EV in the P side you have completed, EC in the N side you have completed, and take an equal proportionate distance, okay, for EC and EV. So you take it. Okay, so from here you just take some distance, whatever you want to take it as your length for your EG. Then you draw your EV. Similarly, here EV you have already drawn. How much distance you have taken? The same distance you take it here also for drawing this EC. So you have drawn ECEV in the case of P type, ECEV in the case of N type, Fermi level in both the case. Now what else is left is EFI. EFI will be exactly in the middle of your EC and EV in either P side or N side. Then you will be drawing your EFI in the middle of your EC and EV. Okay. Then you will be joining this EC and this EC with a slope. Don't join with something like this. Okay. It is not that good. Okay. Slope always has to be non-linear. Okay. Slope always has to be non-linear. Right. It should not take a straight line form. Okay. It should not take a slant line form. Okay. Right. Is this okay? Open circuited PN junction, band diagram, energy band diagram, band structure, whatever the names you call. Is this okay? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Suppose if I ask you to derive an expression for this V naught, how do you derive? Suppose if I ask you to derive an expression for this V naught, how do you derive? I told you that this particular distance between among EC is same as distance among EFI is same as distance among EV. Okay. So that concept you can use, right? I am writing my Q times V naught. I am writing Q times V naught. Distance among EC, okay, is same as distance among EFI. What is distance among EFI? From EFI to EF is Q times phi p, and from EF to EFI it is Q times phi n. So distance from EFI to EFI is Q times phi p plus Q times phi n. Yes or no? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So distance among EC is Q times V naught. That is what the distance I am saying. Potential barrier, built-in potential, contact potential V naught. Okay. So this particular height, this particular potential, whatever it is generated, is same even when compared to your EFI or when compared to your EV. Okay. So from EFI to EFI, it is Q times phi p2 plus Q times phi n. So I can write Q times V naught is same as Q times phi p plus Q times.
Sir, actually, EFI should be in alignment, no, sir.
No,
Whatever the concentration.
not EFI will always be in between your EC and EV. That is either N type or P type. EF is going to vary. EFI means what? EFI, no,
Concentration.
EFI is representing the Fermi energy level in an intrinsic semiconductor. Yes or no?
Sir.
What is the expression for EFI is given by? Expression for EFI is being given in such a way that if the effective mass of electron and the effective mass of the hole is same, then the EFI is located in the middle of the EC and EV. So that is why I am representing my EFI with in the middle of my EC and EV. EFI is not going to change. Okay, EF is going to change. What is EF is representing? If my EF is close to EC, okay, concentration of electrons is more. If my EF is close to EV, concentration of holes is more. Okay, EFI is belonging to intrinsic semiconductor when you have not yet done any doping at all. Got my point?
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yeah. So this EF is representing something resulting after doping. When you have not doped, this is what is my EFI location is. Fermi energy level in an intrinsic semiconductor. Intrinsic semiconductor means when you have not done any doping. Okay, pure semiconductor. No impurities were added. When impurities were added, then the new Fermi energy level you are representing in your N type because of adding donor atoms. Okay, P type because of adding acceptor atoms. Fermi level is going to move away from the center towards the EV in the case of P type. Fermi level is going to move away from the center towards the EC. Got my point? That is the difference between EFI and EF. Okay? Right. Okay. So from this, can you derive an expression for my V naught? I can cancel my Q on both sides. Okay. So V naught is given by phi p plus phi n. Okay. V naught is given by phi p plus phi n. What is phi p? What is phi p? What is phi p?
Potential P.
Okay, remember that V naught is to be determined as phi p plus phi n. Okay, I am writing what is phi p here, phi n here. Okay, my V naught is given by V naught is given by, okay, or Q times V naught is given by Q times phi P plus Q times phi N, okay. So Q times phi P is EFI minus EF, right, plus Q times phi N is nothing but EF minus EFI. So I am considering with respect to intrinsic Fermi energy level. That means I have to get with respect to Ni, okay, Na with respect to Ni, Nd with respect to Ni, okay. So what is this? I can write it as KT ln Nd by Ni, okay, or N by Ni, where N is equal to Nd if my Nd is much greater than Ni, okay, plus KT ln Na
by
here
Ni.
here Na, here Nd, okay, Ni. EF minus EFI is nothing but belonging to N type, no? So that is why Nd. Here it is Nd. Okay. So now you can bring in that KT, you can take common. So KT into ln A plus ln B, ln AB. So Na Nd by Ni square. Okay. So you bring this Q onto the other side. So V naught is equal to KT by Q ln Na Nd by Ni square. So what is my expression for V naught is? Expression for V naught is Vt ln Na Nd by Ni square. Is this okay? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So is it a constant or not? Is the V naught, okay, for a given PN junction, is it constant? What is Na? Na is
Acceptor.
acceptor atoms present in P type or N type?
P type.
P type, okay. So Na is representing the acceptor atoms added in your P type, okay. Nd is representing the number of donor atoms you have added in your N type, okay. Ni is constant for a given semiconductor. Vt at room temperature, it is constant. So is it not your V naught is constant? Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So if Na is fixed, Nd is fixed, Ni is constant, Vt is constant, then your V naught is fixed. But suppose if Na and Nd are variables, you can increase your Na, you can decrease your Na. It is up to you how much amount of Nd or Na you need to add. Though Ni is a constant, Vt is a constant, but Na and Nd are in your hands. You can increase them, decrease them. So that means your V naught built-in potential in a given PN junction is dependent on
Na and D.
Na and D. Okay. So if I am increasing the doping, is my built-in potential is going to increase or not?
Yes, sir.
Built-in potential is going to increase. Okay. So for a given semiconductor, there might be a fixed built-in potential, provided that if you mention how much is my Na, how much is my Nd. Okay. If you know the intrinsic carrier concentration at room temperature and Vt at room temperature, then this V naught is going to be fixed. But if you want to increase this V naught or if you want to decrease this V naught, then you can do with respect to your doping concentrations. Is this okay? Yes or no? So with increase in doping concentration, your V naught is increasing. With increase in temperature, is your V naught is increasing or decreasing? Okay. Ni is a strong dependent on temperature. With increase in temperature, what do you say about your Ni? Is it increasing or decreasing?
Increasing.
Increasing. So if the denominator term is increasing, what do you say about your V naught?
Decreases.
Decreasing. So with increase in temperature, V naught decreases. With increase in doping, V naught increases. Okay. With respect to doping, V naught increases. With respect to increase in temperature, V naught decreases. I have an expression for our built-in potential or contact potential V naught. V naught is equal to Vt ln Na Nd by Ni square. Okay. V naught is equal to Vt ln Na Nd by Ni square. Is this okay? How we have derived this? Q times V naught is given by Q times phi P plus Q times phi N. Q times phi P is given by EFI minus EF. Okay. Q times phi N is given by EF minus EFI. Okay. We have got expressions for EFI minus EF. We have got expressions for EF minus EFI. We have used them for determining your V naught. Just practice once again so that it will be very easy for you to understand. V naught is equal to Vt ln Na Nd by Ni square. people normally stop at this formula. Okay, so don't stop it. We'll continue with one or two equations also, which will be giving more insight to this built-in potential. Okay, so I'll make the things much more elaborate. Okay, so I will give two more equations. Okay, I'll give two more equations. So I am writing like this: V naught is equal to Vt ln. Okay, so instead of this Na, I'll be writing Pp. What is the meaning of Pp?
Holes in p-type semiconductor.
Holes in p-type semiconductor. Is it not? Is it not your Na is responsible for maintaining the holes in the p-type semiconductor? Yes or no? As many
Yes,
number
sir.
of Na I will be adding, that many number of holes were there. So that is why my Pp, I have replaced my Na with my Pp by Ni square into Nd. What is that Nd?
Nn.
Nd is nothing but Nn. Okay, Nd is nothing but Nn. Okay, so this, can I write it like this? Vt ln Pp by Ni square by Nn. Can I write it like this? Both are same or not?
Yes, sir.
This is going to come into the numerator and both are same. Okay, but what is Ni square by Nn? I can write Vt ln Pp by, what is Ni square by Nn? Minority charge carriers in an n-type semiconductor. Yes or no? Mass action law. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So how do I represent that? Minority charge carriers in n-type are holes, P in an n-type. Okay, is this understood? My V naught is given by, okay, my V naught is given by Vt ln Pp by Pn. What is Pp is representing?
Holes in p-type semiconductor.
Holes in p-type semiconductor. What is Pn is representing?
Holes in n-type semiconductor.
Holes in n-type semiconductor. Okay, holes in n-type semiconductor. Yes or no? Right? So if I know how many holes are there in my p-type semiconductor and how many holes are there in my n-type semiconductor, holes in n-type semiconductor are representing what?
Minority charge.
Minority charge carriers. Okay, from where do I get the holes in the n-type semiconductor? Because of moving from p side to the n side. When they have not moved in the p side, those holes are called majority charge carriers. But when they have jumped onto the n side, they have become the minority charge carriers from the majority charge carriers. Okay, yes or no?
Yes, sir.
The holes in the p-type semiconductor are normally called majority charge carriers. When those holes have jumped onto the n side, they have become the minority charge carriers. The same majority charge carriers in p-type, they have now become the minority charge carriers. So if I know the holes in the p side and holes in the n side, then that ratio is been giving me my built-in potential. Okay, I need not look for Na, Nd or Ni square. Okay, I can look for what are my holes in my p side and holes in my n side. Holes in my p side are majority charge carriers, holes in my n side are minority charge carriers. Ratio of majority charge carriers to the minority charge carriers, taking ln of them and multiplying with Vt, I will be getting the built-in potential. Okay, right? Suppose if I can write in a similar way in terms of n. Okay, instead of writing this, okay, I can even write like this. How do I write? Nn by Ni square by Pp. Can I write like this? Yes, I can, because this Pp is going to go on to the numerator. So this equation and this equation both are same. So how do I write this? Vt ln Nn by, what is this? Ni square by Pp. Ni square by Pp, Np. Okay, so what is Nn is representing?
Electrons in n-type.
Electrons in n-type. Np is representing?
Electrons in p-type.
Electrons in p-type. So majority charge carriers in n-type and minority charge carriers in p-type. If I take the ratio, and it will be giving the same built-in potential. Okay, so don't stop it here only. Okay, don't stop it here only. People normally give your Na, Nd and Ni square. I don't give your Na, Nd and Ni square. I'll tell that how many charge carriers are there in your p-type and how many charge carriers are there in your n-type. That's all. Are you able to calculate your built-in potential? Yes, you can calculate, because your built-in potential is dependent on the how it has got arrived. Initially there is no built-in potential. P-type semiconductor built-in potential is there? No built-in potential. N-type semiconductor built-in potential is there? No built-in potential. But when I join the junction, then a built-in potential. How the built-in potential has arrived? Because the holes have moved from here to here, electrons have moved from here to here. Okay, so the holes here and the holes here are making your built-in potential, or the electrons here and the electrons here are making the built-in potential. Okay, or in a nutshell, at the beginning, okay, as a device engineer, at the beginning you can design yourself that I want to fix my NA and ND because I know how much is my NI. Then you can fix that your V0 should be something like this. Okay, right? Yes, sir. Is this fine? Any questions?
No, sir.
Okay, so what we have covered so far today is open circuited PN junction and contact potential. Okay, deriving an expression for contact potential is somewhat an important for us from the examination point of view. Okay, so have you understood what we have discussed today? So these two equations no one is going to teach you. Okay, and we don't have a special attention towards this. We have derived from this only. Okay, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So in tomorrow we'll continue with qualitative analysis of PN junction, and then if time permits we'll go for quantitative, otherwise we will not move on to the quantitative analysis of PN junction. Okay, so if you have any questions you can ask me, otherwise so I'll stop here. I'll take the attendance.